Hi, everyone. Welcome to the FSBO formula. And those of you who have been on these monthly webinars that I have been doing now for the last couple of months, it's usually just me talking and giving you information. And this week, I decided to do something a little bit different, and I invited a very good friend, real estate agent. Actually, he manages an office with is it about 300 agents, Rolando?
That's correct, Jackie.
All right. Say hi to Rolando Ramirez. And Rolando, I asked him, I said, hey, would you show up and just participate with me on this webinar? And one of the reasons I asked Rolando to do that is because I want to be able to role play. I don't want to just tell you what to do. I am going to tell you what to do for the first probably 20, 25 minutes. But I also like to show you how.
In 1,000 feet, turn left to Garden State Parkway North.
In role-playing objections that you're getting out there right now in this hot sellers market. So Rolando, I asked him to write down some questions because he works with a lot of agents, and not only that, he is also an agent. He sold real estate, so he brings in that side, and we'll be able to have a great conversation. Say hi to Rolando again. The way the screen is, whoever speaks, yeah, I guess that's who you'll see up at, or how you set up your computer there. Rolando, you're good? You can hear me? You're unmuted?
I can hear you perfectly, Jackie. And as a matter of fact, since you made me co-host, when you're speaking, which is going to be the majority of this, I'm assuming, I'm going to remove the pin from me so all everyone can see is you. And then from there, if we want to open it up for questions, I'll pin the person speaking so they can be upfront. Okay?
Yeah, no, there will be no questions. Everybody's going to be muted the whole time. This is you and me, okay?
Sounds good.
All right. So, Rolando, I think agents believe that because the market is hot, there is low inventory. Working with for sale by owners is harder than it is in a buyer's market. Are you hearing that kind of conversation amongst the agents in your office?
No question. No question. I mean, the market of the moment allows agents to believe, right? We always talk, Jackie, about how important mindset is, right? And the belief you already have wired into your head. So when we talk about the market, for example, here in South Florida, inventory year over year is down about 40%. So much, much shorter. So agents are already sticking into a belief because of that data that for sale by owners truly can not only sell by themselves, but get top dollar for their property.
Yep. So I want to start by talking a little bit about that, okay? For sale by owners, in any market, they can sell it themselves. The question is, can they sell it for top market price? Because whether it's a market like right now, like Rolando said, what's going on in South Florida, and it's happening in many parts of the country, the inventory is down. And their Fsbos have always been very confident that they can sell it themselves. If they weren't confident they could do it, they would have hired an agent. So they are very confident. And really, there is no question that they can do it. And you have to be able to actually say that to them. I have no doubt that you can sell it, especially in a market like now. There's very low inventory, and they know that, and they say that to you. And then you gotta, here's, when I titled this webinar, the FSBO formula, I want to start by saying the formula, and I want you to write this down. What is that formula that's gonna get you appointments, actual listing appointments, not preview appointments? You don't need to call a Fsbo to schedule a preview appointment. Just go knock on the door, and they'll let you in and show you the house if they think you might have a buyer. So this is not about previewing Fsbos. This is about qualified listing appointments. The key formula is value. And I want you to write that down. I wrote some things down here because we live in a very value conscious society. Most people like to save money, get something for what they think it's a good deal. Nobody's, I don't know anybody that just likes to throw money away and spend money and not get anything in return. Would you all agree with that? Rolando, does that make sense?
Yeah, that's the conversation.
You're not gonna pay for something unless you believe you're gonna get something in return. And for sale by owners, based on everything that they're looking at, they don't see any reason to pay an agent. The market is hot, there's low inventory. I look at what the average agent does. I could do all that. I mean, why am I going to pay an agent to do something that I feel I can do it myself? So this is a very important piece here. Listen carefully and write these things down because you want to remember. The market is hot. There's low inventory. If a for sale by owner can put their home on the market today and within 24 hours, they get a full price offer, they'll take it. They would be thrilled. Would you agree?
Yeah.
It's a hot market. Okay, let's say they get a full price offer right away. Here's what I want you to think about. How much more money could they have sold this property for had it been exposed to 100% of the buyers and 100% of the agents who are working with the most qualified, ready, willing, and able buyers out there? How much more could they have sold it for? NAR stats from 2019, 8% of the homes in the United States in 2019 were sold by agents. I've been following these stats from NAR for 25 years that I've been in real estate. And these numbers fluctuate very, very little. The reason why 92% of buyers buy from an agent is because the services are free. Sellers would list with agents immediately too if it was free. The reason why they hesitate is because agents charge the seller a commission. The seller pays the commission and they don't see the value in paying it, but buyers don't pay a commission. And that's one of the many, there are other reasons, but it's one of the main reasons why 92% of buyers buy from agents. So when you think about this for sale by owner puts their house for sale today. It is a hot market. They only attract 8% of the buyers on the market for various reasons. Okay, there are lots and lots of reasons. Maybe we'll have time for some of them later. But my goal here today is to help you understand the mindset, like Rolando said, what's going on in their head and how you need to look at it. Because if you don't think that you'd be able to benefit them in any way, they're not going to pay you to list a house. It would make no sense. If they can get a full price offer, exposing their home to only 8% of the buyers, because that's the reality of it, how much more money could they sell the property for if it had been, if 100% of the buyers and 100% of the agents who are working with buyers had that property available to show it to their potential buyers? Not to mention that there are 4 types of buyers out there. Serious in a hurry, they're working with agents. They don't have time to be online. I mean, that's for the ones that are not in a hurry. Serious in a hurry buyers are working with agents. Serious, not in a hurry. A good example of that are first-time home buyers. They're serious, but they're going to take their time because it's their first home. They're not familiar with the process. They don't want to make a mistake. They're very cautious. They want to take their time, look at every property. They're also working with agents. A first-time home buyer has no clue what they're doing. They're not going to a FSBO. They want an expert, a professional, an experienced agent to guide them through this process they're unfamiliar with. The other 2 types of buyers are investors. Investors are bargain hunters. They want their money to work for them. Typical buyer that goes to a for sale by owner. And investors are not going to pay top market price. They want to be able to buy, flip, whatever they're doing, rentals. They're looking for deal. And then the fourth one are just lookers, which is, by the way, of all the inquiries that you get every day, and Fsbos, when a for sale by owner says, well, I'm getting a lot of activity. These are NAR stats as well. Of every 100 inquiries, whether they're from the internet, an open house, somebody walking in an open house, or a sign call, wherever they're coming from. And it's the same for the ones that are calling you. Out of every 100, 4% are ready, willing, and able. Now, so what does that mean? Oh, they're getting a lot of activity. Great. You don't want to say to them, well, yeah, did you know that only 4%? No, you don't want to make them wrong ever, because if you do, you're done. Okay, that's the end of the conversation right there. So, but it's important for you to remember. And you know this is true because the biggest challenge real estate agents have is sifting through all the buyers that reach out to you saying, I want to buy a home. Can you help me? Can you? Right or wrong, you don't get paid for showing houses. You get paid when you sell one. So you got to be able to really separate the lookers from the ready, willing, and able. And it's 4%. Now, for sale by owners, it's even lower because of the 4% that are actually ready, willing, and able. Of all the buyers that are calling you, Fsbos, whatever. Remember, 92% are working with agents. So it's a really small percentage of all the calls they get, which they get really excited about because they're saying they're getting a lot of activity, that are real buyers. So how much more money could they sell it for? And by the way, I'm throwing a lot of stuff at you right from the beginning because you gotta change your beliefs about what you can do for them. Because otherwise you're not going to be able to list them. And this market, Fsbos are the market of the moment. Why is that? Because they're all over the place. In a hot market, everyone thinks they can sell it themselves. So there are more Fsbos out there now for you than ever. And there's still some expireds because even in a hot market, agents overprice properties. They take shorter listings. So you still have expireds, but more for sale by owner. So you got to master this stuff because this is your opportunity, not only to take a lot of listings, it benefits them to have you involved in this transaction. You're able to net them more money by getting them a higher price, negotiating the best terms, negotiating repairs, disclosures. There's so many aspects of the sale of the home that can cost them money. I'm going to give you this a little bit later if we have time. Walkthrough, repairs. There's so many different. How about signing a contract as a for sale by owner that is contingent on the sale of another property? And now they sign a contract because they don't know what they're doing really. You know, they're not experts. They're not real estate agents. They're looking to sell their house, and the buyer has a house to sell. And 2 months before closing, they find out, you know, and sometimes buyers don't even disclose. In a hot market like this, they won't disclose that they have a house to sell. But guess what? If they're getting a mortgage, the mortgage is the sale, the purchase of the Fsbo home is contingent on them getting a mortgage. And if the down payment that the money they're going to use to put down is tied up on the property they have to sell, and that property doesn't close, guess what? They don't qualify for the loan, and 2 weeks before closing, the seller finds out they couldn't get a mortgage. Now, there's so many different ways that you benefit them financially by handling the transaction, the price, and all the negotiations, okay? But ultimately, and I want to say this because this is really important, you gotta find successes, whether you had them personally in home sales or your office or whoever, right? That your office. And if you don't have successes, I'm gonna give you an example, so hang in there. If you can find certain successes from your office stats that you can use, or even if it's just a property in the MLS that you see that was listed and sold above list price, you can use that. It's sold in a very short period of time. For a home to sell above list price, and that happens in a hot market like now, you need to have 100% of the buyers know that the house is for sale. Because if you only have one buyer, you're not going to get multiple offers, and that's obvious, right? And you're not going to get a bidding war on a property. Whereas when you have more exposure to all of the buyers on the market, now you're able to create a situation where the home can sell for above market. So I'm going to tell you a little success story. It's an example. My son has a real estate license. He doesn't actively, he's not out prospecting and selling real estate, but he'll help his family members. His uncle had sold a home about 5-6 months ago, and my son listed the property, expensive home. The advantage, he only works with family. They have expensive properties to sell. The property was listed for, I think, close to $4.6 million. They got a buyer, and I think the sale price, so the buyer agreed. The contract price was, I believe, $4.53, $4,530,000. And the buyer was getting a mortgage. The property appraised for $4 million. Can you see the problem? Yeah. So now, watch this. The property appraised for $4 million, and my son, and this is one of the ways that you can actually help for sale by owners make more money too, appraisal issues. The buyer agreed to bring his cash to the table, and he paid 4.35. He paid the full price, 4.53, $530,000 above appraisal. How about that, Rolando?
You have a good agent. That's the value that you get.
Yeah. Do you think a for sale by owner would be able to pull that off? Let's say this home was a Fsbo. I mean, you guys need to really, all of you need to understand all the different aspects of the sale that you're able to negotiate, bring value with your expertise and your knowledge. I mean, this is one example, and I wanted to give you this example because it's real. This just happened not too long ago. What example do you have of a success transaction that you closed recently or within the last 6 months, or your office, or even one from the MLS? Because you could use these examples on the phone with Fsbos to set appointments. Rolando, give me some thoughts. Yeah, and I got some other stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, I can give you one that I just heard the other day. And I'm sure you've had situations like this in your career too, Jackie, when you were in production. I know I did. So one happened on the reverse. I have an agent here that I was speaking with, and he was representing a buyer. They decided to look at for sale by owner properties. They found a house. House was worth about $600,000 on market. However, the agent was able to negotiate with the seller and got it under contract for $510,000.
Wow.
So that for sale by owner, thinking that they saved money because they didn't pay an agent a commission, lost out on $90,000.
Wow.
Okay, so that's the benefit, and that's why buyers want to take an agent, because they know what to negotiate. And some of you here who have taken listings and helped sellers, how many times have you been, negotiating an offer or under contract, right? And you ask the seller, hey, what do you want to do? And the seller tells you, oh, I'm willing to take this. And you're like, no, you can get way more than that. Let me handle this, right? And you're able to, help them save thousands of dollars because of what what really does need to be repaired. How can you negotiate an appraisal, right? What do you need to ask a lender in terms of conditions for for us to know that the buyer is on track to close, right? They don't know how to read DUs. They don't know how to read approval letters. They don't know what questions to ask lenders. They don't know any of that stuff. So you have to have the conviction that in that you have enough value to more than earn the commission that you would ask for.
Beautiful. Wow, I love that example. That was amazing. And guess what? Everyone here that is listening, you can find, if you've been in real estate for a little while, you can find an example like that, or again, or use even the examples that we gave here. A friend of mine, or this happened, look for properties in the MLS, because this is actual evidence, giving them a little piece of evidence, and all of a sudden everything you say causes them to question what they're doing. Is this really the best way to do it? So one of the things that I came up with, and in a few minutes, Rolando and I will do some role plays. I said earlier, we're a value conscious society. We're all looking to get the best deal on everything. I know I can. I don't like overpaying for anything. Most people don't either. And no one with common sense would like to spend money and get no value for it. And for sale by owners, you have to understand where they're coming from how they're looking at this, what agents do and what's going on. They talk to neighbors, they talk to friends, they hear stories. Oh, I sold it, this happened, that happened. And then they're looking at the average agents like, wow, I could do all of that. So that's their perspective. They're not seeing things from your perspective, which is what Rolando and I were just talking about. All the value, they don't understand. And most agents don't know how to have this conversation. This is the conversation you need to master, the money conversation. So I want you to look at it this way. And I wrote this down this morning, and I kind of like this way of presenting it to you. Is your commission an expense or an investment for the seller? Is it an expense or an investment? What is the return on the investment for the seller if they choose to pay your commission? Is there a return on the investment? What is the return on the investment? That's the conversation, because otherwise they're not just going to throw money at you. Do you get what I'm saying? I even use, sometimes I used to say to for sale by owners when they would say, well, if you want to come by, but I'm not going to list the property, I would say, Mr. Seller, it would be unreasonable for me to expect you to tell me over the phone they're going to list with me without knowing who I am, what I do, and how I can benefit you financially. And quite honestly, if by the end of our meeting, you don't see a significant financial benefit for you in working with me, I don't expect you to hire me. I wouldn't. So I wouldn't expect you to do that either. Is that a fair conversation that makes sense? And they go, okay, yeah. The challenge real estate agents have in working Fsbos, see, when it's a buyer's market, it's a little easier for agents. When I got into real estate in 1996, it was a buyer's market. It worked well for me because they weren't selling. Properties in the MLS weren't selling. We had almost a 2-year supply of homes on the market. So I could follow up with them for 3 months and they'll just still be sitting there. Okay? It's not going to happen right now. They could actually sell on their own. The challenge is it's not in their best interest to do it. Do you all get that? Rolando?
Sorry, yes. Yeah. I mean, it's, you have to know the conversation to have in every different kind of market, right? And you have to know the angle. So right now we are frankly in a market where Fsbos can sell. But another thing too, what you're doing, if you guys are paying attention, listen to Jackie's rate of speech and the way she slows things down when there's really important points you want to hit on. Because you might be able to memorize all the right things to say, but you really have to be able to connect it to people. So you notice how I slow it down when I'm trying to give you an important point, because I want you to listen to it. So you switch up the tones too, but know how to have these conversations, guys. That's why practice and role play is so important too.
Yeah, awesome. And here's the thing. The exciting part about this is this money conversation, this Fsbo formula, which is all about value. It's going to get you listings right now. You're going to be able to help these sellers because it's selling on their own is not the answer. And when the market turns into a buyer's market, because it will, everything goes up and down, everything goes up must come down, and real estate has cycles. You're going to be prepared to just, wow, then it's going to be a lot easier, but you're going to have the same conversation. Why would you want to be following up with Fsbos for weeks and months, waiting until they realize that what they're doing is not working? No, show value and they will pay. So this return on investment conversation. In 2019, according to an AR profile of buyers and sellers, the agent-assisted sales in 2019 actually sold for 28% more than the homes that were listed and sold privately as Fsbos. 28%. So this is average nationwide, and you can use these average nationwide. Homeowners are not going to question you and say, well, where does that come? Unless you don't speak confidently. There's no authority in the way that you're speaking. You're hesitant and you sound, like you're nervous and you're weird. Well, then, they question everything you say. Otherwise, they don't. I used to use NAR stats all the time. And sometimes I have my clients say, well, what if they say, well, where does that come from? What are you talking about? And I have to tell you, and this is the honest truth, I never, ever, not even when I was brand new, maybe my first year I didn't even use that because I didn't know what I was doing. But when I started having these conversations with Fsbo, I never had somebody question it. They question you and they give you objections of every kind because you don't have the confidence when you speak. So, how you net Fsbos more money. Let me just give you this real briefly, and then Rolando, we're gonna start role playing if you're ready. If you got those objections ready for me. The problems they have, one of them is lack of exposure, and we already talked about this. 92% of buyers are using agents. So their exposure, no matter what they do, and they know how important exposure is. And that's why they have the home on all kinds of different websites, and they may be doing open houses, and they even think they could put it in the MLS for a flat fee. They're looking for ways to attract the most number of buyers, okay? But it doesn't matter what they do. As a Fsbo, they're only attracting 8% of the buyers on the market. That's a problem for them. The next problem is they're dealing with bargain hunters. Remember I mentioned earlier about the 4 types of buyers. So they're dealing with buyers that are the commission they're looking to save is the same commission that the buyers that are going to them know they're not paying a commission. And they're looking to save the same commission the seller is looking to save. Then they're dealing with unqualified buyers. Remember I told you out of every 100 inquiries, only 4% are ready, willing, and able. And as Rolando was saying, agents have the knowledge and the experience to ask the right questions, to make sure that you're not driving around and wasting your time with people that are not qualified, ready, willing, and able. Fsbos don't. Somebody calls and says, oh, yeah, I saw your home. I'm interested. I want to look at it. They're like, yeah, they're so excited. Come on in. They're also, another problem, no negotiating skills. Again, all the different ways that you're able to negotiate and benefit them financially. Another problem is legal liability. And you might have some stories to tell about that too. I know I had different situations where a for sale by owner would have been in big trouble had they missed a disclosure or whatever else that could be involved in negotiating. And that also includes negotiating inspections, repairs, walkthrough, appraisals, all kinds of stuff. And the last one is security, actual safety and security. These problems cost Fsbos money. And you can solve these problems for them. And you being able to solve these problems is where you bring in the value that you can more than make up for the commission that you charge. Remember, average Fsbo nationwide, 28% less. In the early 2000s, hot market, like now or even hotter, those were the years 2000, 2001, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's when I was listing 100 for sale by owners a year by myself. Calling, setting appointments, going out and taking listings with this conversation. Around those years, the NAR stats was not 28%. It went down big time because it was a hot market. So I remember around those years, for sale by owners were selling on average for about 14% less than the homes that were listed and sold by agents. If you charge, hypothetically speaking, a 6% commission, on average, they could still net 8% more by having you handle everything for them. Do you all understand this? In 2019, it was 28%. It was a different market in 2019. But even in a hot market, it's going to cost them money to do it on their own. Okay? So, Rolando, what objections do you have for me?
Well, do you want to role play this as if you're calling me, or do you want me to just hit you with objections?
Yeah, you know what? Let's just start from the beginning of a script, and let's just go through a script. You can give me typical objections, and then once we get through that role play, maybe we can do individual objections. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Okay. One thing that I want to say, because I don't want to forget, never make them wrong. Please write that down. Okay? Don't, but you can make somebody wrong by what you say or how you say what you say. Because you may be saying, yeah, I agree, with a tone of like disagreement. So be very careful, because if you make them wrong, you're done. You need to sound concerned, not righteous or condescending, concerned. Okay, so that's part of the tonality of this. All right, Rolando, let's do it.
All right.
Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hello, is this Rolando?
Yes, this is Rolando.
Rolando, this is Jackie. I'm a local real estate agent. I noticed that you have your house for sale. It looks like you're selling it on your own, right?
Yeah, Jackie, and I'll tell you the same thing I told every other agent who's called me today.
Sure.
I'm happy to pay you a 2% commission if you bring me a buyer. Otherwise, I'm just going to list it with my brother, who's a realtor.
Oh, okay, got it. So you're willing to cooperate and pay a 2% commission to an agent who may have a buyer for your home, Rolando? I hear you correctly?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, great. Well, I appreciate the offer. I will definitely keep your home in mind. And I think I heard you say your brother is a real estate agent.
Yeah, my brother's got a license. So if anything, if I need to put it on the MLS, he's willing to do it for me.
Okay. Rolando, when are you thinking that you might consider that option?
I'm probably going to keep it on the market for about another month. I mean, I'm getting a bunch of calls right now.
Great.
So I'm thinking I'm going to be able to sell it on my own, but just in case, I can put it on the MLS.
Yeah, absolutely. I got you. Rolando, and I'm just curious, is saving the commission the main reason why you decided to just sell it yourself instead of using an agent in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, isn't that why every for sale by owner lists their property?
Most of them, yes, yes. So this is not so much about selling it on your own, saving the commission, or in essence, being able to walk away from the closing table with the most money possible. That is, I guess that's your number one priority here, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, do you have a buyer for me? If you do, I'd be
You
happy
know,
to show you.
Rolando, that's a great question. Actually, the reason why I decided to give you a call today is obviously as an agent, I work with buyers and sellers here in the area, and I was actually calling to see how things are working out for you. It sounds like you're doing pretty good so far. And here's the thing, Rolando, I may or may not have a buyer for your property right now. I really don't know. And the reason why I'm calling you today is because I know exactly what to do to find the right buyer for your property who will pay top market price. I mean, ultimately, you want to be able to sell it for the most money possible, right?
Yeah, so when you find that buyer, give me a call.
Yeah. Hey, I love what you just said. Rolando's like, yeah, go find the buyer, bring it to me. Rolando, I appreciate that. I'm sure, you sound like a very smart guy. And I know that I'm sure you recognize that in order for me to find the buyer, I'd have to put a lot of time, energy, effort, and money invested in it. But I know how to make that happen. Let me just ask you this, Rolando. If there was a financial benefit, if you in essence felt that I could more than make up for the commission that I charged, that in essence hiring me would not cost you money, would actually make you money. And I know the math is probably not making sense to you right now, but if I could show you how I can do that for you, would you be interested in looking at that possibility?
I mean, I'm always open to a conversation. I mean, you can check it out and see if you have a buyer for me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Rolando, I love what you said, okay? Because obviously you know what you're doing. It's not even a question of whether you can sell it. You want to sell it in the best way possible so you don't leave any money on the table. I'd like to sit down with you for just 20 minutes and show you how I can benefit you in the sale of this home. Would you be available at 3 o'clock today? Would 4 be better?
You can come by at 4. I have some time then.
Okay. See you at 4. So everybody's muted. We want to keep it this way, Rolando. Otherwise, you'll get a little crazy with the noise. What did you sort of like? What is it from what I said that got you to agree to just meet for 20 minutes?
Here's what I'll say. It wasn't as much what you said, how you said it, your tone, the way that you were. I mean, you sounded extremely confident and you were very, very clear, right? So when you were saying, hey, look, if I can show you if there was a financial benefit for me to list your property, or for me to sell your property for you and net you more money, right? The way that you slowed that down for the person to really get and connect with was great. Another thing I noticed that you did phenomenally, which of course you're Jackie Kravitz, so of course, is what we've been talking about for this entire session. Don't make them wrong. Make them right, right? Hey, you sound like a really, really smart guy. I know you can get this home sold. I know you can get this done. But if there was a financial benefit and it only took 20 minutes, would you be open to it? Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And because it's logical, it's how is somebody with common sense gonna say no to that? And it's easy. 20 minutes is easy, right? So why not? Okay. And they may say, well, I'm not listing, I'm not gonna promise anything. I already handled that a little bit earlier. So
Right.
yeah, thank you for the observations, Orlando. All right. So what isolated objections do you have that we could do a little more role play?
So I hit you with a couple of them through that conversation, which is bring me a buyer and I'll pay you a commission.
Yep.
I'll list it if you're willing to do it for 2%. It's a hot market. I think I can sell it on my own. Or another one that I've been hearing too because of the market is people say, like, let's say their home is probably worth 300,000. Hey, if you can sell it for me for 500,000, no problem.
Oh, great! Let's role play that.
Okay.
Hey.
Cool.
Okay, so one thing that I want to point out when the role play that I did with Rolando when he said my brother is an agent. Did you notice how I didn't do anything with that? It just went away. I don't know if he forgot it, because when I start talking about the financial benefit, it's like, who is the brother? It's irrelevant. So and a lot of objections will go away if you just focus on what's important to them, which is the money. So Rolando, we're you know what? Let's just pick it up from the beginning of the script again, because the previous role play I did it a little bit different. And you give me the objection of if you can get me 500,000 and the house is worth, well, however you want to word that. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hello. Is this Rolando?
Yes, this is Rolando. Who's
Rolando, this is Jackie. I'm a local real estate agent. I noticed that you have your house for sale. Looks like you're selling it on your own, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, I decided to give you a quick call today because I work with a lot of buyers and sellers here in the area. I'm just calling to see how things are working out for you.
Well, I mean, things are going well. I have my property on the market. I actually, I'll tell you, I met with an agent already, and they told me that the property is probably going to be worth 700,000. So, I mean,
oh wow,
well, I'll tell them what I told you. If you can get me $1 million, I'll sell the house and I'll list it with you, no problem.
Okay, I got you. So, Rolando, if you don't mind me asking, it looks like your sales price right now is you are asking 700, right?
Yeah, but I mean, to work with an agent, I would want to get closer to $1 million. If I'm going to be paying to list my property, I'm expecting them to give me more.
Right. And Rolando, I hear what you're saying. I mean, obviously, you're selling your property. This is, for most people, it's one of their biggest investments. Obviously, you want to sell it for the absolute highest price that you can get it sold for in today's market, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so here's what I'm thinking. And obviously, I'm not going to insult your intelligence, Rolando, and tell you how much I could sell your property for without doing any research or even looking at your home. Here's what I propose we do, Rolando. And I know you already met with another agent. There's so many agents out there. I'd like to sit down with you for just 20 minutes. And we'll do two things. I will prepare a detailed market analysis. So together we can look at it and determine what is the absolute highest price that we can sell your property for in today's market. And while I'm there, I'll share with you all of the different ways that I can benefit you financially in the sale of your home. And then, hey, at the end of our meeting, you could decide what's best for yourself. Would you have 20 minutes today around 3 o'clock? Would 4 be better?
Sure. I mean, but I'll tell you, if you're going to list it for 700,000, there's no point in coming.
Yeah. You know what, Rolando, like I said, I really won't know until I do the research and I take a look at your home. So I look forward to seeing you today at 4 o'clock.
Sounds good. See you here.
Let me speak to that.
Yeah, I'm going to ask.
Do not go down the rabbit hole of discussing price with them. I don't care how ridiculous, because this is like a ridiculous Fsbo here, okay? And some of them are. It's probably one of the most extremes that I've heard of, but okay. The point is, what you want to get out of this conversation is do not discuss price over the phone. Now, hang on. When you are pre-qualifying the appointment, now you're going to ask more questions about their motivation. Motivation, by the way, is where, when, and why. In this last role play here with Rolando, did I ask where are you moving to? When do you want to move? Why are you moving? Did you hear me ask that? Because I don't care. And the only thing I care about is setting an appointment. Once I have the appointment, now I'm going to ask, where are you moving to? When do you want to get there? Why are you moving? We're going to talk about price again. That is in the, and even then, okay, I'm not going to discuss price. I'm not going to say, well, you're overpriced. Not while I'm pre-qualifying, I'm not. No. Pre-qualify. But see, until I get him to say yes, all of that is irrelevant. And this is a huge point right here, because so many of you get caught up in all the objections and you go down a rabbit hole. You start, well, whether it's commission, it's the price, it's the brother who's an agent, whatever. That's not the goal. The goal is to set an appointment. Are you all hearing me? So now, and my purpose was not to pre-qualify. Rolando, I'll come back to you in a minute and we'll do another role play. Once he says, okay, great, I'll say, great, I'll see you today at 4 o'clock. I transition on the same call. I say, Rolando, I look forward to the opportunity to meet with you today at 4. And so I can better prepare for our meeting. Tell me, when we sell your home, where will you be moving to? I'm pre-qualifying now. Do you see how it was a seamless transition? You don't get all weird and say, well, I got to ask you a couple of questions. Do you have time? They're going to say no. It's like, people don't talk like that. That's like a weird script that makes people weird, and then they hang up and they say they don't have time. So a natural transition, seamless. Does that make sense? And now I'm going to ask about the motivation. Now we could talk about the price again. So Rolando, I know you mentioned previously that you're asking $700,000, and you said that if I can sell the home for $1 million, you would consider listing the home. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Got it. Okay. So I'm still not going to handle this right now. Even if I know, because here's the thing. Even if I know that the property is worth 500, okay, he's asking 7 because he's already 200 overpriced, and now he's being ridiculous. Okay, and I know that most of the for sale owners that I called when I was selling real estate, I really didn't know what these properties were. They're always overpriced. Okay, who isn't? How many sellers wanna just get enough? Like, they don't want the most money for the house. They just wanna underprice it. Do you know sellers like that? I mean, everybody wants more money for the house than the house is worth. So Fsbos are typically overpriced. So when we get to this point in the conversation, I may say something like this: Rolando, this is just a hypothetical question, okay? And this is after I asked where you're moving to and what is your time frame for getting the idea. And this, well, I'm not in a hurry. No, I get it. Rolando, let's role play this pre-qualify because it's a lot easier with you than by myself here, okay?
Yeah. Okay. You want me to go into the whole I'm not in a hurry $1 million?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So they could see, now we're pre-qualifying.
Got it.
So Rolando, hey, I appreciate the opportunity to meeting with you at 4 o'clock, and so that I can better prepare for our meeting. Tell me, when we do sell this home, where will you be moving to?
Well, there's a community a few miles down from here, and this is why I wanted $1 million, because that's around the price point that the houses over there are selling for. So I've got my eyes on one that's really pretty that I want to buy.
Oh, wow. For $1 million, I'm sure it's a beautiful home. Good for you. And Rolando, in an ideal world, when would you be making this move and buying this property?
Well, I mean, I'm not in a rush. If I don't get this one, there's going to be other ones in that community that I would want to buy. So. Okay.
So whenever you sell it, it's fine. I mean, there's other properties available, or they will become available. So you're not in any kind of a hurry to sell, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Rolando, I don't want to assume anything. I imagine, like you said, it's a beautiful area and it's a very nice home. Outside of that, what's the reason for the move?
Honestly, I mean, I just want to be able to give my family a better lifestyle, a nicer house, bigger place.
Yeah. 100%. Sounds good to me. Yeah, 100%. So, Rolando, and you mentioned the price earlier. You said you're asking 700,000, and you said, hey, Jackie, if you're able to sell this property for $1 million, because that's, I guess, how much you need in order to be able to make the move, you would consider hiring me, right?
Yeah, I would.
Okay. And Rolando, regardless of the time, because I know you're not in a hurry to sell, and at the same time, you have the home for sale. So I imagine that selling it sooner rather than later would be better, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'd like to be in that house sooner than later.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I'm just curious because I told you earlier, I'm going to do a very detailed market analysis. I'm going to do some research so we can determine what is the highest price that you'll be able to sell it for. I'll show you all the benefits in having an expert, knowledgeable negotiator working on your behalf. And I'm just curious, Rolando, what would happen if this home doesn't sell?
Well, I have the thing about this house is it also has an additional room, and right now two of my daughters they're sharing a room and they're getting bigger, so I want to be able to move them into a bigger house to give them that. So I don't
Yeah.
know, they'd be upset for sure.
Well, absolutely. Well, I imagine the extra room for your daughters, but also you said it's a beautiful area. It's just a different lifestyle. So all around, it sounds like it's something that you definitely would like to do, right? Mm-hmm. Now, you did say that in order to be able to afford that other home, you would need to sell this for $1 million because the price of the property you're buying. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And hey, Rolando, hypothetically speaking, and I really don't know, okay? I won't know until I get there and I see your home. Hypothetically speaking, if you were not able to get $1 million, if you, I don't know, if we found a cash buyer that was willing to give you 750, 800,000, what would you do with an offer like that?
Well, if I'm not paying a realtor a commission, I'd probably consider taking it. I mean, right now I have it listed for 750 on Zillow.
Okay, so you do have some room for negotiating in essence.
Sure, yeah. I mean, but again, that if I'm gonna be negotiating the price, then that's why I don't want to be paying a
Right.
commission.
Yeah, I totally understand, Rolando. I hear you. I mean,
Yeah,
the math just doesn't make sense. You're thinking, why am I going to pay an agent? I mean, I have to lower the price. Now I got to pay a commission. The whole thing doesn't make sense. You want to be able to walk away from the closing table with the most money possible so you can get into that beautiful new home for you and your family, right?
that's right.
Yeah. Rolando, I assure you that in working with you, that is my number one priority. You being able to net the most money possible from the sale of your home, okay?
Okay.
Okay. So I got a final I'm not going to ask all pre-qualifying questions. I'm going to just go to the last one. So Rolando, I have a final question for you. If at the end of our meeting today, you feel confident that hiring me is the best financial decision you can make, would you consider it?
Yeah, I would.
Great. I'm looking forward to our meeting, Rolando. I'll see you at 4:00. Now,
Right.
I skipped some pre-qual questions here for the sake of time, but give me your 2 cents, Rolando, on this.
I mean, again, I thought, Jackie, it was great. You didn't make me wrong, and you kept asking questions. I think that's a really important part. It's not selling and telling. It's asking questions. It's gauging, right? So right, because I told you, oh, I have it listed for 750, and you're like, okay, so you're telling me there is room for negotiation. Yes. Okay, cool. So now he's self-discovering, like, yeah, I can negotiate, and you always brought me back to the point of netting the most amount of money. That's all this conversation is about, netting the most amount of money, right? Because that's really all they want to hear. I also thought your transition into and through the prequal script was great. The way you finish the prequel by asking that question is usually how, when I was in sales, I would start the conversation. But it's much better to finish with it because you're able to gather more information and allow them to see, okay, this person truly is a professional because they're asking a lot of questions.
Awesome. You're right, because when you ask it at the end, they're now way more likely to say yes than right in the beginning. And this is just a little detail. I don't know if anybody picked up. When I transitioned into the pre-qual, I said, so I can better prepare for a meeting. Rolando, tell me, I didn't say when we, what's the assumption there?
We're going to work together.
Yeah. When we sell your home, where will you be moving to? Conversational. And one thing that Rolando noted about everything is about netting them more money, and I say it in different ways. I want you to write this down. While you're communicating with these for sale by owners, there's one thing going through their mind, okay? The whole entire, everything they hear you say, they're filtering through what's in it for me. What's in it for me? What's in it for me? So if you're just, and Rolando said, I asked a lot of questions. If you're talking and lecturing and they don't see what's in it for them, why would they agree to meet with you? Why would they hire you if there's nothing in it for them? So, the financial benefit, the significant advantage, the best financial decision, sell it for the most money possible. Did you realize how many times that it's a theme and it's not repetitive because it's a conversation?
Right.
Let's wrap this up, Rolando. What would you like to end with? What do you want to leave all these great agents with so they can go out there and make a fortune with Fsbos right now?
What I would say in closing, I do have one more question that I got as a text from someone in the audience. So let's do that, and then I'll close out with a final statement to kind of put a bow on this. But when you're at the actual appointment, right? They've communicated the NAR stats. They talk about more exposure. The agent does, and then the FSBO says, how are you benefiting me if you're costing me X amount of dollars?
Mm-hmm. So we're not going to be able to do this in 2 or 3 minutes. Throughout this entire webinar today, I gave you a lot of different pieces and tools. There are a lot of dialogues. When you're presenting to a FSBO, it cannot be a lecture. Every step of the way, how you're going to benefit them financially is by solving all the problems that cost them money. Remember the problems: lack of exposure, bargain hunters, unqualified buyers, no negotiating skills, legal liability, security. These problems cost them money, and you can solve these problems for them. You can solve the exposure, you can solve all of these problems. That's how you net them more money. So this question really shouldn't come up as you're going along the presentation and you're engaging them. Rolando, wouldn't you agree? Does that make sense? You're using a lot of tie downs and questions. You don't just stand there and just verbal vomit, because people tune out. You got to keep asking questions. Even when you make statements, you got to put a tie down at the end, and you got to be using your body language, and you're gauging where this is going. But there's an entire presentation around this that you would need to master. So that's where it's at.
Is exactly what you said. Are you selling and telling? Are you giving them an entire lecture, or are you keeping them engaged with questions? Like you could say, hey, has there ever been a time, or if they've been a salesperson before, hey, when you were in sales, right? What was the benefit that you would give people out of selling them X versus them, getting it from a cheaper source?
Yeah.
So you kind of walk them through it so they can relate, right? But you got to keep them engaged. And like you said, look for cues. If they're glossing over, they're looking at their phone, they're looking around, they're not focused on you and nodding their head, you're losing them.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to pay attention to those things.
Absolutely. 100%. Rolando, this was so much fun.
It was.
I feel like, everybody who's here, wasn't it fun to have somebody to role play? Yeah. Instead of like, oh, now you're saying, the other webinars were horrible because you were just talking and talking and talking and talking. So this was different. I appreciate you, Rolando. Thank you so much. Guys, salesxtraining.com. I think it's not on the homepage. On the homepage, on the bottom of the homepage, you'll be able to download some objection handlers that I have that for free. And then if you click on any other page, you'll be able to download the for sale by owner script, my Fsbo script. So check it out. Go download the Fsbo and the objection handlers. Rolando, I so appreciate you taking the time. I know you're super busy, so thank you, thank you.
Well, what I'll say in closing, guys, is remember, it's not all about what you say.
Yeah.
It's how you say it. It's huge. Slowing down, tone, questions, keeping people engaged, being aware of cues. That stuff goes much further than, oh, I got all this data.
That's right. That's right. Great way to put that, because, by the way, guys, this webinar is going on my YouTube channel. So if you're not subscribed, just YouTube Jackie Kravitz. So if you want to listen to the role plays again, transcribe and listen to how I was saying stuff. But see, Rolando, here's the thing. To focus on all these nuances of the communication and how it's being said, they all have to memorize the scripts first, because
Absolutely.
while you're reading the script, you're not listening. You cannot really focus on how you are communicating, because you're just worried about what to say. So you got to get those words out of your way as soon as possible, because words are only 7% of the communication. As
Right.
Rolando mentioned a couple of times, 55% is body language, 38% is tonality. And while you're focusing on reading the script because you don't have it internalized yet, 93% of the communication is non-existent.
Right. And you don't get that confidence unless you know what to say. So yes, guys, in closing, it's first mastering what to say. Once you've memorized that, now master how to say it.
Yep. Yeah. There it is. And I'll tell you, it doesn't take that long. I've been in real estate for 25 years. My first year, I had no idea what I was doing. I had never sold anything. I sold 25 homes and my ratios were terrible. I talked to 800 people to sell a house. It was awful. My third year, I sold 45 homes. That was my first year full time, because the first 2 years I was working part time. I was working nights and weekends because I had kids and a house to take care of. So my fourth year, 45, all Fsbos and expireds. Fourth year, 100 closed transactions, all Fsbos and expireds. So it doesn't take that long. How long it's going to take, it depends on the time and energy that you dedicate to it. And time is going to pass no matter what you do. So put in the time to internalize the scripts and master the skills, because it will make you a fortune.
Amen.
All right, everybody. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, everybody.
See you next month. Bye. Thanks, Rolando, again. Take care.